important decisions about the future not only of the AFC, but the future of Guyana. Because there's only one party that is capable of taking this country forward without bitterness, without discrimination. We don't live in the past. We have no prejudice for the past. But we know that there ain't going to be no AFNU party to lead the country, and there ain't going to be no PPP party. Only the AFC will take us forward. And it is my privilege this evening to introduce to you one of your own, one of the prominent young lawyers in this country. Please put yourselves hands together for Mr. Charrandass Persaud. Make some noise, Charrandass Persaud, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Nigel. My brothers and sisters, I don't know what your views are in relation to this meeting, but I'll tell you this. This is not the first meeting that we've had. This is not going to be the last meeting. We need your support, and we are starting. We are starting the campaign. I don't know what you're thinking, but we have started our campaign. And I need to get some that. A little too old for that kind of money. My friends, let me say this to you. I am not going to be saying anything much because you have the entire leadership of the AFC right here. And you want to hear from them. You want to hear what they have to say. Because you listen to me on TV every Saturday night or most Saturdays anyways. I see my mother friend is shaking her head there. But I'll say this for you and to you. We as the AFC, you heard Nigel tell you just now, we have nothing to look back to and say, well, all right, we did this and we're sorry for that. We are trying as best as we can to present to you leaders with integrity, leaders that you can trust. Now, if you can say the same thing for the PPP, or AFNU, then you know what? Go ahead and vote for them. Yeah. You have seen what you have seen. Yeah. And that is my reason for describing them, and I will still continue to describe this government as the countdown government. Look around, I see a pilot quite dry at the top and soft to the bottom, different texture. They give us that. They give us themselves with a two-face. And I'll show you what I mean. You have heard ever so often from the Shah Khan of MCN and last that the AFC is in bed with AFNU. A vote for AFC is a vote for AFNU. My brothers and sisters, let me say this to you. Freddie Kissoon is in court right now as we speak for making a remark that Barajagya deemed racist. If they don't want you to vote for AFNU, what will be their reason? Except that AFNU is supposed to be, with no respect to my African brothers and sisters, a black man party. And they keep talking. You heard Berbice a couple of nights ago, he was on TV until 1 midnight. He was so tired he can't even sit up, but he's still going to tell you this propaganda crap that they want to recoup votes that they had in PL in Berbice. Now I will use that line, votes that they had. They have established ownership over you in Berbice, over us in Berbice. Because, and I will say this so they can take me to court for saying or making racist remarks. They believe that as soon as you dominate Berbice, PPP will win any election in Berbice because you, as Indians, will vote for PPP. That is what they're saying. They own you. My brothers and sisters, sit and think what you hear on TV. We talked about corruption, and I will just touch briefly on a few topics. You heard our president now, not the one who's running the country, the one who's elected president or who was made president, the now president. You heard him say that corruption must be wiped out at all levels. And yet, They present people on TV in the form of, what's his name? I always think of his face as being too big for the camera. Minister of Housing now. Yeah, you know the name, all right. He is on TV. They have other people on the panel, Manju, Nadir, and a few others, debating opposition members and presenting a picture that there is no corruption. Well, you put 2 and 2 together, you can come up with 22, or you can get 4. If there is no corruption, what does this president have to wipe out? You don't have to shovel snow in Ghana because we don't have snow. Right now they're flooded out in Canada, those of you who know you have relatives outside. But he's saying there is corruption that must be wiped out. And yet they're debating the issue of corruption. There is no corruption. That is one thing you need to look at. Look at their rights that they've established or they're canvassing on. The right of ownership. They own us in Berbice. My brothers and sisters, do not be fooled. And you have been, on the day of voting, nah man, let's put the X and give them one more chance. Well, how many chances are you going to give them? That's right. They have had enough. Too many chances. Right now, I will touch on a very touchy topic. Moses Nagamootoo. Moses Nagamootoo has been described by all the members of the PDP. All of them. Come down and describe him as ungrateful, Namakarama, the snake, whatever. Do you know why? Do you know why Moses is such a target? They are continuing to target Moses. He is the biggest threat to the PDP in Berbice. That is why. They are doing their best to defame, to disfigure if you want, to destroy the reputation that Moses Nagamootoo has. Because they are deathly afraid. My friends, I was looking at, I sat my friend's home near Ramjattan just now. I took a nap in his hammock. Believe me, I did take a nap. And I saw a mango tree right across the street. And I told my good buddy here, I said, let's go pick some mango, man, some nice ripe mango on that tree. But the other tree has no mango. I'm not going to go on that one. You will only pelt the mango tree that has good ripe mangoes, not the one that has nothing. And that is why Moses is a target. That is why Moses is a target. Moses has come out clean, and it is like, or I can use an example, and the men outside there, let me see if anybody got bricks in their hand, no? Okay, fine. Men, all right. Here is what I want you to look at. If a man is beating up on his wife, you get married 2 years later, you start punch up and slap up and whatnot, and then, all right, she forgives you. Parents coming in their bed, and then they get one child, and you can continue to beat up, and you cuss up and you beat up.
You have to speak the right
And then
thing.
2 years later, and 3 years later, and 5 years later, this behavior continues, and now the woman got 3 children for you, and she's still getting it. And in the 6th or 7th year, she decides she can't take it no more, so she packed up and she left home. What are you going to say? Instead of withdrawing yourself, and take a second look at yourself to see how you might have treated her, you can say, she got a man. Or somebody's encouraging her. Well, that is what the Moses Nagamootoo saga is all about. Moses has been inside, like Khemraj. They have listened and they've seen. But there's only so much you can take. There's only so much you will bear. Now that they've come out and decided to oppose these people, oppose a regime that's been very oppressive, and that has adopted a bully attitude. When they can't own you, they try to bully you. Or they try to buy you. Now they're saying, Moses is ungrateful. Oh, don't worry, Khemraj, use this and that. But that is what you have to deal with. They have nothing. Nothing to stand up, to present to you that will make you see them as honest, sincere people. How many of you live all right, I can refer to Khemraj because I've been there only a couple of days ago. I live in Khemraj, by the way, but I was called to look at a street. They fixed the street, and you know what? We are expected to believe that look how good they're treating us. They put some brick and some bitumen on the street, so they're doing good for us. And that is how they expect to win votes. Let us not be fooled. I would like you to leave here tonight bearing one thing in mind only. I will not be fooled by the PPP any longer. That is all I want you to remember. You will hear from speakers, you have the leaders here. Do we have anyone who can be identified as a leader? When Donald Ramjattan, the President, His Excellency, went to some conference in the United States of America, there was mass confusion in the president's office because the ex-president who was inside there dishing out orders, and some of the boys said, "Nah, you're president anymore, will you go in here?" But he was establishing his rights which he had. Well, some of them not to believe that he still has, and that is why I'm saying. To the leaders of the party here tonight, I want to just briefly remind you that we of the AFC are perhaps, not perhaps only, we are the only party with nothing to hide. We have done no wrong, we have no skeletons in the closet, and I ask you not to be fooled by the PPP any longer. Thank you very much.
Make some nice Charrandass Persaud. Tonight is our first trip to Berbice. To make some noise. To come all the way from Nagamootoo. All the way from Nagamootoo. Ladies and gentlemen, you are my fellow MP.
Good afternoon, brothers and sisters of Berbice. Can you tell me what I see this afternoon? What I am seeing right now I don't believe in racism. I believe in unity. I believe in Guyanese people. So can you tell me what I see this afternoon? Unity. I'm not Indo-Guyanese, Afro-Guyanese, Amerindian Guyanese. What I see this afternoon is Guyanese people. And I'm very privileged to be here at Berbice for the very first time. As Mr. Hughes is saying, I'm all the way from the mountains, big mountains. And what the AFC has done within a very short period of time can be very great. We are moving, and as the first speaker stated, and we are on our foot. We are not afraid of this Goliath named PPP. We are going to bring him down, and we're going to fight for justice, unity, security, and we want to put our young people forward so that Guyana can move forward. If we depend on old leaders, sometimes they can lead us to stories, histories, whatsoever, but we want the young people to be educated and come up to the forefront and move Guyana forward. So what I see this afternoon is no differences in race, but all Guyanese, regardless of where they come from, their background, I see Guyanese this afternoon. And don't be fooled, as the first speaker stated, don't be fooled. We have been fooled and have been suffering too long under this government, or the giant called PPPC government, and we are not prepared to suffer anymore. So we have to look and evaluate for ourselves the way forward, and the way forward is only with the AFC that believes in politics. So this afternoon I'm very privileged to address the people. And Guyanese people, let us call ourselves Guyanese without evasions or calling ourselves anything. Let's work in unity towards victory in this Guyana. Thank you very much.
All the way in Tarmac, so I could hear you. Before I bring on the big begun, I want to talk a little bit about real politics in Guyana. And to talk about real politics, we got to talk about the history, we got to talk about the distrust, we have to talk about race, and we have to talk about party politics in the past. We have to talk about everything. Now, since the prior to independence, the only thing both of the major parties have sold to their supporters, and this is on both sides, is fear. They have only sold you fear, and they sold you fear of the other side. If you're Indian, they told you to fear the African Guyanese. And if you're African, they told you to fear the Indian Guyanese. And both sides have dedicated their life to keep the other side out of power. Now we got to talk a little bit about power, because you don't aspire to power for power's sake. You aspire to power to change the lives of ordinary people, not the people at the top of the society. Because the people at the top of the society have always been rich enough and powerful enough in every country of this world to look after themselves. So the reason you want change is so that you can transform the society. And that is what Chetty Jagan stood for and what he started with. Nobody can take that away from him. History will accredit him for that. He wanted to effect a change. And we must recognize that whether you look like me, whether you look like Moses, whether you look like Eula, we have to recognize the role that people have played in the history of Guyana. And he wanted power to transform it. Understand that. And I say that also to my African brothers and sisters, because if we're going to have a true discussion about Guyana, the one thing we must do is be honest with ourselves. Because we can get nowhere unless we're honest with ourselves. One of the truths we have to acknowledge is the fact that they had rigged elections. That's not an argument, they had it. They can have several reasons why they wanted to rig it, but at the end of the day, they had it. You cannot deny that this present regime, starting with Barrett Jagdeo, coming up to now, is in power only for themselves, not for anybody else. And what they're doing is they are using the backs of Indian people to keep themselves in power. Moses Nagamootoo ain't got no house in Prattville. Khemraj ain't got the house in Prattville. But the one man that had no property when he became a minister now has a $2.5 million property near the seawall and 2 acres of land, and he got it on your back. So understand that in this country, all that we have done for the past 40, how many years we've been independent, is we have elected people who become kings, and then they stand on our backs and they kick us, and every time they want to get re-elected, they come back and they sell us one thing, fear. Now, there are criticisms that we can make of both sides. You can ask the People's National Congress, if they were in power for 28 years, how is it that their traditional supporters are still so poor and so powerless that when they come out of power, they say that the only way they can provide for them is if they get power? That is an excuse, brothers and sisters, and I'm speaking particularly to the African brothers and sisters. Either you provide leadership for your people, or you get out of politics. Because politics is about transforming the country. Let me say this very carefully and very clearly here. No people in this country, irrespective of whether you are indigenous, whether you're African, Guyanese, Indian, Guyanese, Portuguese, whatever, all of us have a place in the sun in the 83,000 square miles that we call Guyana. And that is the first basis upon which any political party should start to speak to you. Because unless we are speaking about all of us having a place in the sun called Guyana, we are wasting time and we don't deserve to vote them into office. The same criticism can be made of the PPP. And I will say this, they have been in power for 20 years. And what do they sell to you? They sell to you fear. You have had absolute power up to 2011, and you have not balanced the police force. Whose fault is that? It's not anybody else but them. If you have given them the power to change so that you don't have to live in fear, so that you don't have to have bandits running up and down your street, so that you don't have to perpetually have to run to some regional chairman, run to some minister to get drainage, something as basic as water. If you don't have to run to them because they don't look after the cokers, they don't look after the drainage, and every time you want change you have to protest, then it is clear that they are not governing in your interest. Ask yourself, have the villages that have traditionally supported the present party really done better under this administration? The time when people sell fear in the hope that they will continue to vote for one party is over. AFNU cannot take you to the future, neither can the PPP take you to the future. They don't have the vision, they don't have the ability to sell to you a new day. I am not here to criticize anybody about what they did in the past. Once we have a legal system, those crooks and bandits who have stolen and continue to steal will get a fair trial, and we will lock them up once they're convicted. We don't have to sell you trying to lock up somebody, because we're not campaigning on jail. All we are campaigning on is ensuring that we have a fair justice system. So irrespective of whether you're a cane cutter in Berbice, or whether you're a bauxite worker in Linden, or whether you are out planting cash crops out in Parma, the black constitution that makes the president God, that makes him immune from suit, that not even the people advising him can tell him, Skip, you're going wrong. It is important to understand that 48% of the vote should never, irrespective of who gets the plurality of votes, should never equal 100% of the power. And that is what we have to change in the Constitution. The AFC is not fighting up to go into power to say we're in power. One of our first and principal things that we have to do is change the constitutional architecture of the country, so even if the people look like us, they can't behave like God, because we will remove them. You cannot have a constitution where the minister has been voted, where there has been a vote of no confidence, and he's still pretending to be minister. That is unheard of in any self-respecting country. If the majority of people say that we do not have confidence in you, you must pack your bags and go. You must. And don't tie up the country for months arguing about whether you should be gagged or ungagged. Let me just briefly speak to you about the Rohi issue very, very smallly, because I know a lot of propaganda has come on the radio station and on the television station. In this country, especially in this county, where people have traditionally supported a fighter like Chetty Jagan, it is not acceptable, whether it was in colonial times or whether it's present day, for the state to pick up weapons and shoot defenseless people if they're protesting. It is unacceptable. And unless and until we get up and stand up and say the police cannot shoot unarmed citizens protesting, even if you are protesting for your own rights, whether you're protesting for wages against Gaisuko or whether you are protesting in Linden, it is unacceptable for the police to believe that they could pick up arms and shoot at unarmed criminals, unarmed citizens, sorry. And that is the principle. Rohi was the minister who, when they had a water cannon, they had rubber bullets, they had shields, all of these things they left in Georgetown, and they sent up people with AK-47s and shotguns with the express permission of the minister. And on the first day of protest, brothers and sisters, you know you've got wildcat strikes here. Imagine on the first day of the strike, not even 6 hours into the protest, the police pick up guns and open fire. The rest is unacceptable. I don't care what happens after that, because understand that if they do it there, what will happen is when those of you who don't agree with what the PPP is doing in Berbice, and you decide to protest, they're going to say, well, if we shoot black man there, why we can't shoot you here? And that is why no country in the world subscribes to the police or any armed force using live rounds on its own citizens. It is almost a war crime. And once you are a minister in government and that happens, you should do the decent thing and pack your bags and go. But it is important, and this is one of the things that the AFC wants to say to you. We are not saying to you, follow us blindly. Not at all. We say to you that there's one thing, irrespective of your religion, irrespective of your ethnicity, irrespective of your culture, that God has given you. It is the most deadly weapon that you will ever have in your life, and that is your brain. All we ask you to do is think before you do anything. Long past are the days when you have to vote for anybody on emotion. You have to think about yourself, think about your future, and think who is going to take the future of this country to a better place. There's nobody else equipped to do it. Trust me, and unlike either major party, you have nothing to fear about the AFC because we are not traditionally any particularly ethnic party. People swing when they voted for us. In 2006, when they voted for us, Berbice delivered to us in 2011. And once you use your brain, you will be in a better place. Understand, and before I introduce the next speaker, that whether you are supporting the PNC or whether you are supporting the PPP, and particularly the PPP since they say we've had free and fair elections since 1992. Why is it that 80% of the people, if you gave them a visa to leave the country, they will leave? It is because neither party has been able to deliver the most important four-letter word for the future of this country, and that is Whim. There is no hope with either of these guys. None. The only party that talks about the future in which everybody has a place in the sun is the Alliance for Change. And we say to you, don't buy it because we say it. We say to you, buy it because you must think and go through the processes and go through what the others are offering you. I'm only cheering tonight, and I thank you for indulging me in that little bit of a sermon. I'm sorry it took so long. The next speaker tonight, brothers and sisters, is one of the leaders that I have worked together with for the longest while. Since 2001, when I was president of the Ghana Bar Association, this brother was a vice president while he was in the PPP. And we used to have to take serious decisions condemning things that the government of the day, which was the PPP, had done. And myself and this brother would sit down, we took the decision that whenever we go to press conferences, we will go together to show unity because they would try to divide us. And as a result of that, he had the most awful things happen to him, particularly because he was in the PPP. They said they taxed people to raid his office. He got death threats, everything. And I respect this guy, not only because of where he stood. Those of us in the NEC who are with him know that this speaker and this leader that we have has an instinctive nose for justice. He is always on the side of justice. And as so long as he is there, I will always support him. I owe him a debt of gratitude. I used to say I would never end up in politics. And he used to laugh. And my wife used to half laugh. And then when things got so bad, I said, boy, it looked as if I'm about to come and help you. And understand what it is to be able to walk away from a party that can offer you 10 crowded houses, multi-contracts. He walked away on principle. They said it throw you out. But he walked away. And I want you to recognize this true son of the soil. You put your hands together for Mr. Khemraj, Ramjattan.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hughes. Thank you so much, people from Whim. Thank you so much, supporters of the AFC. Thank you so much. Brothers and sisters, we are here this afternoon to continue our deliberations this time with the public, because earlier we had certain deliberations with the leadership of this party. Our national executive had a very important meeting in Berbice. We wanted a national executive meeting in Berbice because of what happened in the 2011 elections. Berbicians showed that they can transform ethnic gravitations, they can change, and if Berbicians can change, Guyana will be changing. And for purposes of ensuring that that happens, we decided also we must have a public meeting in front of this very famous AFC leader house, Mr. Ramaya. Brothers and sisters, I want you to know that since 2011, this Alliance for Change that won 7 seats in Parliament have been doing a wonderful job. A job that has been respected by the diplomatic community. A job that is respected by APNU. And a job, literally, that is feared by the PDP. We, the Alliance for Change, with this magnificent 7, have managed to bring out all the corruption now that this government and the PDP have been indulging in. It is one thing that this entire country now knows us for. It is the fact that the corruption levels have become so much visible as a result of the questions that we are asking in Parliament of the ministers, asking in the Public Accounts Committee, and the various committees that Parliament comprise of. We in the Alliance for Change intend to continue this battle against corruption. Because, brothers and sisters, your impoverished state in this country is as a result of the corruption and the enrichment of those that are in power. Those in power today, when you talk about pension and perks and privileges, they don't talk anything about the working class anymore. They have shunned sugar workers, just like they have shunned rice farmers and public servants and bauxite workers. And when you compare where these jobs came from, when you compare what they were in 1992, I must tell you, the magnificence of their homes, all the trips they've made all around the world, the pension that they collect, if that could have been diverted to the ordinary workers that they used to talk about, all of us would have been happy in this country. But we gotta fix it right. And it's only going to be fixed right when we continue the struggle to ensure an Alliance for Change government here in Guyana. I have made mention during the campaign that the two old political parties created massive divisions along political and ethnic lines. One raided the ballot box to maintain itself in power. Today, one raiding the treasury to maintain itself in power. But with your wisdom, your knowledge of the issues as we educate you as we go along, you rest assured that an end to raiding, whether it be treasury or the ballot box, must come to an end. And it will come to an end soon. Brothers and sisters, what is it about this corruption thing that we want you to appreciate and understand so much about? Well, the monies of this country that you produce, by the way, are misappropriated. by a cabal. It denies you the entitlements that you deserve. When they only concern themselves with pension, perks, and privileges, they are not going to manage the institutions of the land in good governance principles. And when you do not do that, you're going to have your NIS as an institution going bankrupt. I only landed here a couple of hours ago, and I already got about 20 complaints about people and their NIS contributions, and it's not being to their benefit. So many people, sugar workers, hoping that when they reach age to become now entitled to their national insurance benefits, they're not getting it. For 20 years, since 1992, Dr. Luncheon has been commandeering the NIS. Today, as a result of an analysis done by an actuarian, that's the person that deals with the figures, he said in another 4 or 5 years, the thing will run bankrupt. Was that why we put them in government? To bankrupt institutions that are going to ensure that you people get your benefits after working so hard in the searing sun and rain and mud and muck. No, it could not be. And so I am pleading with you that you do understand that when we have corruption, then it goes into their DNA and into their blood. They're not going to govern properly. They're going to govern only for themselves. And a cabal that governs for itself will then deny you, your brother and your sister and your friend, all the benefits that you're entitled to. And little by little, we are seeing that happening. Brothers and sisters, I want to make mention of one example of where they are pocketing our monies. One has to do with an important aspect of pensions to the former president. We in the campaign spoke about it, and we wanted to keep our promise to the people that we are going to amend that legislation that was uncapped. But I want you to understand the argument, because on the national television, you got this very talkative, garrulous Attorney General saying that we are only talking nonsense. But we're going to come to that. In relation to the president's pension, it is an injustice what he is getting. And all this nonsense they go and talk on the television that we want to deny the man dignity and we want to deny him a basic living. Nonsense. This is it. The president of this country earns $2 million a month. And in 2004, Jagger passed a pension bill that became an act of parliament that said he must get 7/8 of that existing president's salary as his pension. Now compare that to your pension. So if next year Ramjattan increases his salary to $3 million, Bharat Jagger's pension will be 7/8 of $3 million. That is almost $2.6 million pension in the pocket every month. But the man was not satisfied with that. The man then went in 2009 and ordered his people in the parliament to pass a president's order facilities and benefits bill. Not pension law, order facilities and benefits bill. Our constitution says that public servants, of which the president is the foremost one, are only entitled to pension and gratuity. But in 2009, when Jagger realized that he's not going to get the third term, he decided to pass this pension, facilities and benefits. And my God, You heard us during the campaign, and what they told us, he's entitled to security guard, clerical staff, guard, and all manner of things, SUVs, gasoline bill, gas bill, water bill, light bill. And as we were saying, the thing come up $3 million a month. You know how much pension that could pay to sugar workers? I don't know what sugar workers' pensions are, but I'm certain that the thing is measly. But that chap gets a pension of $1.2 million a month, plus all the benefits that come up about $3 million. So what is his pension? $4.1 million a month. What we recently tried to do in Parliament, after we learned that this president has 12 security guards, was to cut it down to 2. Because we are of the opinion, brothers and sisters, that a former president ought to get some security. But if that was such a good fella, why would anyone want to have so much security? 12 security was found to be at his place of residence. Well, of course, the thing huge. It's like about 2 acres of land he got there. And he got a mansion inside. Brothers and sisters, we wanted to cap these things. We don't know how much clerical staff he got, but we don't know that there are 3 big SUVs. That is the big vehicle that is at his disposal. When you are with 3 SUV, you want one to go to Arsenal, one to go quarantine, or one to go Essequibo? What nonsense is that? And you, the people out here, you can't even buy a bicycle. When you pension, he gone and get all of that. We were trying to cap the thing. And it is a decent thing because in the Caribbean, no other prime minister of any other country got so much. And we are the poorest country just after Haiti. Well, we got to do that. We are a jackass economy and we want to be President Mercedes-Benz. Brothers and sisters, that showed what this government has been transformed into, coming from a party that Dr. Jagan led. It is a shame, it's a disgrace what they have come to. And when you have a political party that has transformed itself into only one thing, perks, privileges, and power, you are going to be denied the entitlements as I've been arguing. That kind of money also applies, high pensions, to a lot of them. The advisors very soon that NIS that used to have so much of our monies all becoming bankrupt and our entitlements rate. But now I want to tell you the other scam that this government indulges in. The country's treasury, and this is important for you brothers and sisters, because sometimes our brothers and sisters, especially in the rural area, do not have first-hand knowledge of what the fight and the alliance for change is in Parliament. I want to tell you this thing called the treasury, and Dr. Jagan used to talk plenty about it, is something that we must ensure that we see properly. The efforts in relation to monies being disbursed, we must see properly accounted for. What we have in Guyana is that this government has now created this company called Missile. That our tourism industry will depend on a better quality of the garden city, now a garbage city. It will depend on the fact that we're going to have a tourism authority that is going to be real, professional. It is going to depend on our ability to produce hoteliers and all of that. We also know that the crime situation in and around this country is so bad, people don't generally want to come and tour here. They prefer to go to Barbados, Jamaica, and so on. And so you want to set the conditions right before you start dealing with the tourism industry, before you start dealing with big five-star hotels. But them guys don't like Mr. Robert Badal, who owns the Pegasus Hotel. Mr. Robert Badal had come out and tell them that he's supporting the AFC. So they then took over $25 billion inside of the missile, and they gone to build a hotel for Marriott International. All that money, brothers and sisters, could have seen scholarship for your bright kids in Berbice. And yes, I'll come to that. And then they go on and get the contract to a Chinese company. And the Chinese company does not have one Guyanese worker. Hundreds of Chinese working there. Now I can understand if we want specialist workers in Guyana. If we do not have the skills, yes, we can take the workers from foreign parts. But masons, carpenters, people who saw wood and mix cement, you want to tell me Guyanese don't have them? It is a shame and disgrace. And so these people are taking away bread and butter from the mouths of Guyanese. And whose money it is? I want you to understand this too, brothers and sisters. Whenever hotels are built, they are built by the hotel companies. Not public monies. Marriott International went all over the world, and it's Marriott International revenues from their hotels and the rich people behind them that build hotels. This working class government that used to boast of its working class orientation, taking workers' money and put them in for the big imperialist. You know, we used to love to cuss imperialists and imperialism and say there's working class. Well, today, this government, so-called working class, building infrastructure for the imperialist firm. And what they do, they say 10% of the gross takings every day that comes to the hotel will go to these Marriott people because they don't manage the hotel. So every day, that hotel makes $1 million. 100,000 going to the Marriott people. What are we doing here? Have we gotten our priorities right? That set of money going in for the Marriott Hotel should have ensured that we get better infrastructural works all over the place. And indeed, we want to ensure that you, brothers and sisters, understand these issues. The priorities are wrong. This government, it will appear, does not like people, its own people. And it has been doing this to us for a number of years now. But it has to come to an end. The missile thing, we have to remedy that in Parliament. And I want to tell you this. If we have to work with the APNU in Parliament to ensure that that comes to a halt, we are going to do so. I see the rain setting up, and I want you to hear, your leader from this village, your son of this soil. And before that rain comes, I will come to an end. But brothers and sisters in Parliament, we have been doing a wonderful job for you. We will continue that. We are going to do the representations in court. We're going to do it to the communities. And we are going to prepare ourselves for local government elections. When the local government elections come, I want you to give the PDP a sound thrashing. We are going to ensure that happens so that you can regain your democratic rights, you govern yourselves. Thank you, and a very good night to all of you, brothers and sisters. Well, Khemraj, thank you very much. Watching the room. From room, building room, building room, we're open room, and we leave the room. Ladies and gentlemen, the next president, Mr. Nigel, welcome to you. Thank you, Brother Nigel Hughes. You have heard for yourself the voice and the richness of this contribution from Nigel Hughes. Certainly, Whim must be a blessed village to have him grace us here. I stood before you here, Nigel Hughes, because he loves you dearly. He gave up all the millions that he could have earned as a professional lawyer, not hustling behind politics, because his conscience tells him that the time has come for him to do his duty, and like a faithful soldier, he has joined the battle in the alliance for change so that he can bring you the government you deserve. We have decided consciously to hold the leadership meeting of the Alliance for Change in Whim, because we know that you, for many years, you stood up in the struggle for justice and coming, because where the Alliance for Change meets, there is courage. More importantly, we decided to come here to offer to you our sympathy on the death of Rocker, a child of yours who grew up before my eyes. And he was shot on the operating table in the Amsterdam Hospital. And the issue was raised yesterday in the Parliament. The issue was raised on Thursday in the Parliament. And the former Minister of Social Welfare, who was supposed to be responsible for women, Bibi Sadiq, I called her name. She said, Japan meat. Negligence, this recklessness in using the hospital as a bed shot, claiming the life of an innocent woman, and says Japan meat. When we want to sympathize with Rocker's husband, we want to sympathize with her son, with her sisters, Ever, and the other who was adopted by my own sister yesterday, to start a standby generator. Every single day, this government spends $450 million. Every day, they came with a budget with $190 billion, and we are spending $450 million a day. Why is it they cannot have an automatic generator as a standby, as a place for critical, as a hospital? I want you to imagine this as your mother, as your sister, and to come out and show your grief and your anger that you should allow this to happen.